Good evening, everyone. If you're from Montreal, good evening. You might be logging on from different parts of the world, so it might be a different part of the day for you. Thank you for being here with us. We're really excited about this session, and we're certainly happy to see all of you. I am Rosalia Felice. I'm the manager at Career Advising and Transition Services at McGill School of Continuing Studies, and we're the ones hosting PowerSkills. For a lot of you, because I've seen some familiar names now, having been here all day, I see that you've been at other sessions. Welcome back. If this is your first session, welcome. We're going to take questions, and actually Nikita will walk you through that, but please make yourself comfortable, enjoy yourself, and please be active in the chat. You can talk amongst each other, you can comment on what's going on, so feel free to do all that. Without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce your facilitator, Nikita Boston Fisher. Nikita, you will see, is enthusiastic, approachable, friendly, intelligent, just the perfect facilitator. So you're in excellent hands, and I'll leave everything to her right now. Have a wonderful session.
Thank you, Rosalia, for that wonderful introduction. I am a huge CATS fan, which is what we all call the Career Advising and Transition Services here at McGill School of Continuing Studies. And I'm delighted to be your facilitator for this PowerSkills session on personality styles at work. We have a dynamic facilitator for this evening's workshop. Her name is Ms. Sangeetha Dixit, and she's a passionate career professional who strives to empower individuals to tap their innate potential and map their career paths. So Sangeetha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nikita. It's been an amazing day for me, and I hope you all also have had a good day. I know it's almost, it's 7:30, and you might have had a long day, but then you know what? Let's buckle up and have fun. So that's what we're going to do today. So without further ado, let me start sharing the screen. And also I would want to request Nikita to please pass any questions that might be there in the chat box to me. And, we will look at, if it can be addressed within the 90-minute period, or if we can do it a little later, or maybe we could do it on a different platform, during the next few days. So let's get on to, let me start sharing the screen. And okay, so I wanted to just check, do you guys see the presenter view, or is it, Nikita, can you help me with, do you see the presenter view, or is it just
we see the presenter view, so the view with your notes on it.
Okay, so I think I need to use the other one. Thank you for that. All right, so.
Yeah, so please put your questions in the chat, and also let us know where you're joining us from this evening. We like to see where everyone's visiting from.
Oh yes, we would like to know that. Do I get the chat here? I think I need to move screen, so.
And we're seeing your slides perfectly.
Okay, all right. Okay, so welcome to today's workshop on personality styles at work. Thank you so much, guys, for taking time out. It's a weekday. It's been busy for you all, and yet you registered and you're here, and I really appreciate that. So I would like to quickly give you an introduction. Hello, I'm Sangeetha. I work as an employment advisor with the Career Foundation. We are a not-for-profit organization funded by Service Canada. I help job seekers, youth job seekers, to be specific in their job search. So aged between 15 to 30 years old, and who's a job seeker, gets enrolled, they're registered with us, and I coach them, I help them, mentor them, and conduct a lot of career workshops with them. So that's the brief introduction about what I do right now. But then what interests me and the program today is human behavior. I have been fascinated since a young age about human behavior, just observing what makes people work in a certain way, and that is what led me to get certified in psychometrics. So let's get started, and we'll look at what is the agenda for today. So over the next 90 minutes, we will be looking at what is the key to success in life? It could be a career, it could be a life, anything, right? So there's an age-old question: is intellectual quotient, IQ, more important, or is it the emotional quotient, EQ, more important? What is it that makes one successful? So we will then dwell into the introduction of personality styles, and human behavior is vast. It's too much, but then we are going to have a bird's eye view of the subject. And the final aspect for today will be, how do I use this knowledge in rising above the rest? What do I do, and how do I grow in my career? So let me ask this question to you all. In the chat box, Nikita, if you can please help me out with the answers here. What do you guys think? What is more important? What is required in order to be successful? So I'm waiting for you.
There's nothing in the chat yet to answer your question.
Okay,
but we do have people here from Toronto, Montreal, Oakville, Barbados, Texas, all over.
Texas, wow, that's nice.
Okay, so here we have IQ 75 and EQ 25.
Oh, wow, then we have a percentage there. Interesting.
More people saying EQ. Someone is saying people will remember how you made them feel as opposed to what the issue was. And then we have more EQ coming in. And then someone just said 50-50.
Oh, 50-50. Okay, that's nice. So thank you all for your participation. It's good that some of you have given a percentage there. Some of you have probably spoken about it in a more subjective manner. So it's about, when we look at success, your success, my success, it all starts off, includes your certifications, your academics, your degrees, your technical skills, your mathematical skills, which are considered as the hard skills. However, what gets you into the door is your hard skills. In fact, I'm going to show that right now, right? But then the aspect that's going to keep you in the job, that's going to get you promoted, that's going to bring in your clients, that's going to get you more people in the soft skills or the emotional quotient. So in fact, there's a secret formula that I would like to share, guys. I hope you're all looking forward to it, and don't share this with anybody, okay? Or maybe you can. It is the sum of IQ and EQ, which makes SQ. Any guess of what SQ could be? Are we getting any answers there?
Nothing in the chat yet, but I'm going to guess success quotient.
Yes, precisely. Yeah. Thank you, Nikita. Yes, so it is.
And, 3 more people are saying that as well.
Success quotient. Excellent. You all got it there, right? So yeah, it's a balance of hard skills and your soft skills, which is going to get you that success. So in order to be successful, we need to be aware of what is it that we need to do in order to communicate with other people, right? No person is the same. They're so different from us, and we ourselves sometimes find it challenging to communicate with people. And many a times we wonder, why did I not get that job? What happened? Or why is it that I'm not getting promoted? What am I doing wrong? Right? So that is where we are looking at the first step to your success, which is awareness of self and awareness of others. How do you think? What is your motives? What is your behavior? What is your attitude? What is your emotion? How do you feel and perceive the world? And how does the other people do the same is what matters when it comes to the first step of having the success, communicating with your team members, with your family members, with your child, could be anybody, right? So as I was saying, it's very difficult to understand how do we communicate, because people are different. Every person is so vast and so different from each other. So I'm going to throw one more question here. it's more to keep it interactive, because Zoom sessions can sometimes get, it's Zoom fatigue, and we are all the time now staring at the screen. So please feel free to add in your answers and your thoughts in the chat. So I'm looking at what is it that makes people different? Are we getting any answers?
Oh, here we go. Someone just said their history and experience.
History and experience, excellent.
Someone is saying temperaments, insecurities, their parents, values and beliefs, their direction, meeting, nothing else. Ah, their beliefs, their motives.
Their motives and beliefs, and where do these stem?
Cultural background, values and experiences. Yeah.
There you go, cultural background, values and experiences. So thank you for putting your thoughts there. And guys, my request is, don't worry about am I going to give a stupid answer? There's nothing called a stupid question or a stupid answer. And here nobody's judging anyone. It's just to know each other's thoughts, right? And yeah, so coming back to the topic of what is it that makes us different, along with whatever you said, right? Your values, your ethics, your culture, the kind of influence that you have had, they all come under the bracket, which is personality. And to just give you a quick dictionary, simple, definition of it, it's a combination of your qualities, that form your unique character. That is what makes you you. Now, we spoke about culture, we spoke about values, and there were so many answers here. So how do we get this personality? We get it in two ways. So one is nature, that is hereditary, and the other one is nurture, your influence, your external factors, right? So it is sciences, many psychologists in the past have proven and done a lot of research about, how a personality is passed on from through the DNA, sorry. In terms of your, let's say that you probably behave, you see that you behave a little bit like your parent, maybe sometimes even like your grandparent. You may not have even met your grandparent, but then you have those behaviors in you, right? There might be people saying, hey, you behave just like your grandfather, or maybe, just like your grandmother. So, that's one aspect. And the other aspect is nurture, the kind of influences you have had as a child. What kind of family you were with, what kind of experiences that you went through in school, in college, the kind of friends you had, the kind of experiences that molded you to be who you are. And there's also an age-old question here of whether nature is more predominant in terms of, your personality, or is it the nurture aspect which takes more percentage? It's a battle which has never, not yet been solved. And I think, it's not going to be ever, because it's a huge mix of both of them. However, today we are going to be discussing about the nature school of thought. Before that, can I request you all to quickly grab a paper and a pen, or if you want to use it, use your phones, your laptops, feel free to do that. I'll give you a few seconds to be ready. All right, so I'm assuming that all of you are ready with your, with your pen and paper, or maybe your phone to jot down. So what I'm going to do is I will be sharing with you all a set of words, their adjectives, and I want you to pick and choose whatever, whatever is the best related to you, right? It could be something that you relate, or it could be something that, your someone has given you feedback. All right, so let's see. Okay, so that's some of them. I have two more rows that you can look into.
Sangeetha, there's a question in the chat here about how many do we choose?
You can choose your choice, right? You may choose just one of them, or you may choose all of them. It depends on what, what do you relate to the most. So, it's, and please do not try to analyze too much or put meaning to it as of now. Just pick whatever, you relate to, let it be instinctive, and we can, we look into it, and, you get to get a better understanding. I'm sorry, all of a sudden my throat just went berserk and I had to cough. So that's why, I couldn't give a proper, instruction of what needs to be done. And yeah, so if, are we ready to proceed?
I think so.
Yep, okay, awesome. It's okay if you have chosen one, if it's okay if you have chosen all of them, it's okay as of now. If you felt, hey, you know what, I'm not in the mood for this, I'm too tired, it's okay. We'll just, we'll just kind of have fun with this. So moving on, we're talking about the personality styles. And, this theory was brought and researched and, put in by this gentleman here. Do you recognize, does anyone recognize this person? So his name, is, he is a Swiss psychiatrist. His name is Carl Gustav Jung. So he was the father of, the theory of personality styles. He was the first person who founded, analytical psychology or analytical types of, how do you put a number, how do you quantify mind? And he did an amazing work. So when you look at, some of the tests that's there, right? MBTI or, the other tests that's there, he's the formulator of he's the foundation of all of these. So he came out with, he proposed the existence of two pairs of cognitive functions. So how does the brain work? What is it that drives us, what that motivates us, and what are the values that how we imbibe? And he divided them into two more parts. One is the irrational, which is the perceiving function, in that the two parts were sensing and intuition. The second part is the rational or the judging part, which is your feeling and thinking. Now, human behavior, human subconscious, human mind is way too vast to be put on a single slide and just, given names. What we see, these four are more of a foundation. It's more of a bird's eye view. So my request to you all is, go to observe what is happening. What's your mind going through? Are you able to relate to, each of the styles? But my request is, please do not get into a judgment. Please do not label yourself or others, because we are in 90 minutes is not enough to cover this subject. So without further ado, let's proceed to understand the feeler style. The first style, I would like to throw the question out to you. So looking at the image here, what do you think this kind of a person who has a predominant feeler style is likely to be? What would be their characteristics, their behavior?
Okay, things are coming in. Compassionate, empathetic, kind of emotional, sensitive, caring, compassionate again.
Oh, wow, I'm so happy. You know what? I don't have to do the slides.
Nurturing, focus on people, relationships, empathetic.
Wow.
Kind. People oriented.
Okay, thank you. We'll still have more more opportunities to share. Thank you all for putting in your thoughts. So you covered most of it, in fact, right? It's, these are the people, who value harmony. So what is harmony? It's about maintaining peace. So they are not likely to get into arguments or confrontations or fights. So in order to maintain peace, they sometimes will become the doormat, right? So they will allow people to step over them just to maintain, maintain that peace and harmony. Also, they love human interaction, social interaction. They are talkers. So you would find that, let's say that you are early, at least in the earlier time, 2019 until 2019, if you are in the TTC, you're traveling, or if you're probably on the plane, you would find these people who would start talking to you, start having a chat with you. They want to get to know you. There's a lot of warmth in them. There's a genuine want to get to know you, right? So that's where they come across as very warm and very friendly. They're sensitive by nature. They get hurt. At the same time, they are aware of what's happening around them. So you might find that, one of your colleagues or your family member might just, let's say they're walking across the room and they look at you, and let's say that you are going through something, you have a worried look, they will catch it immediately because they are very adept in emotions. They will be like, hey, something is wrong. You don't seem okay. Are you upset with something? Come on, talk to me. I want to listen. So that makes them excellent listeners, right? So very attracted. So these, the kind of roles that they will look for is something where there is high interpersonal contact. So for a person who has a high feeler style, you're likely to want to be in a team. So a Zoom call, a Zoom meeting is a pain. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be there. You're like, and especially if you're all alone, it's painful, right? It's really tough. I'm not saying that the other styles do not have that. It's just that it's much more natural for them. So they always want to be around people, right? So they get bored if they have to be cooped up inside without any human interaction. So that's where this is a kind of, a basic understanding. Now, how do you identify let's say among your team, among your family members, or even let's say that some of you are, job seekers? How do you identify this person that you're talking with, right? What are the key words that you can look for, or key cues that you can look for in a feeler, right? So we're looking at some of the word choices, right? They will use a lot of phrases like, I feel that, something is going to happen. So there's a lot of usage of the word feel. In fact, earlier today, I was in another training program. So I was a participant there, and one of my peers was very high feeler. So for me, because I'm used to this now, I've been doing this for the last 8 years now, it's very easy to identify. And I saw that this person was using a lot of feel words, right? This is how I feel. I feel that I need to be doing this. So every other sentence, you will have these, right? They would also be talking about the past. Now, feelers and emotional, the emotions are likely to be from the past. You have an emotional connection. There's a lot of value to your experiences. So you are likely to find them talking about the past, something that happened yesterday, maybe last week, maybe 2019, or maybe something that happened in their childhood, right? So that's the kind of, that's a cue for you that there's a likelihood that there's a high feeler. However, because we do not have a complete in-depth understanding as of now, let's not judge them, right? And so also, what's the verbal communication? Because of the warmth that they want to share and that they want to feel, in ideal situations, let's take away the pandemic, they're likely to sit closer to you, right? They will stand closer and talk to you. Or let's say in an interview or in a boardroom, they are likely to lean over and to just kind of show that I am interested to know about you, or I'm interested in the conversation that's happening. So that's another cue for you to look at your body language. They have an eye contact, they have a genuine smile, and they tend to, even their handshake, in fact, is warm and friendly, even if it's the strangers, right? They are very warm and welcoming. With written communication, they're quite informal. So their emails may not be, in the way that you probably expect them to be. So they may start off with, hey, I hope your weekend was amazing. In fact, I know I wanted to check up on you. You said that, your pet was not doing well. I hope he's okay. And then they get into the actual, subject matter. So, it's going to be very informal, very friendly and warm again in tone, and it's going to be positive. However, because feeler style, people are very people oriented, they're not likely to set deadlines. So let's say that there is one of you is a leader here who may be a high feeler, in your tendencies. You're not likely to set deadlines. They feel guilty to put the deadline. They are like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to come across as pushy. I don't want to be doing this. It's too much for me. It's okay. Let them take their time, right? So that is where we look at. You can always, if you see that, maybe your colleague, your boss, your leader, your family member, someone is a high feeler, you can tell them, approach them with, saying, hey, would you like me to finish this within a certain deadline, right? Is there something that you would like to do? Normally they're going to come back and say, no, it's okay, take your time, it's fine, but then there is an urgency, but then they will not push you. So that's something that we need to take care, right? As a high feeler style, we may kind of, be too casual about it, although we don't feel good about it. And finally, in team meetings, so, I was just sharing some time back that they are not likely to enjoy, working all alone, just staring into the computer. So their team meetings, regardless of whether it's a Zoom meeting or in person, they are likely to start off with a small talk. They're going to just warm up the group, and they kind of get into a chat, and then they kind of take about 5 to 10 minutes probably, and then get into the actual agenda for the meeting. So sometimes let's say that you have logged in at 9 a.m. and if you're the opposite personality style, for example, 9 a.m. was a meeting, you came in, and then you see that there's a lot of chat happening, and you're like, oh man, why are you wasting my time? Get on to it, I want to finish it, right? So yeah, you got to, that's where, that's another cue for you. Sometimes we need to kind of, bring them back into, the agenda. So because they love to talk, they can kind of digress and go into, a deeper conversation. So these are some of, some of the cues that you can, identify a high feeler. Any questions with respect to this before we proceed?
Yes, there is one. If we are really empathetic, we catch if someone is not going well, but we are more results oriented. Does that mean that our feeler aspect is less dominant?
So yes, I in fact was about to get into that aspect. Thank you for the question. So we all have all the 4 styles in us. All the feeler style, the sensing style, the thinker style, and the intuitor style. It's just that, some of us may have one aspect predominant, but then the rest of them are still there, right? We are not just emotional. There is analytical aspect to it. There is, the sensing aspect to it. We'll get on to what is sensing pretty soon. And, there's also the intuitive aspect to it. But then let's say someone is a high thinking style. They still have emotions, right? They're not emotional. They're not robots. But, thank you for the question. So you may be, so let's say that you're highly empathetic, but then result oriented. There is a high likelihood that you have 2 different personality styles, which are a little closer. So let's say that tomorrow you approach me and I give you the assessments, the actual psychometric assessments, there will be numbers. So that's where you'll know that, hey, this is the percentage that I'm a feeler, or maybe I have this, what do you call it? So normally it is the sensing type who are sensing, and the thinking type who are more into task oriented or result oriented. Sorry. Yeah. So, you might find a combination, but the research that's happened, and, there's what we have kind of seen is maximum number of population on the entire planet tend to kind of have a balanced personality styles, right? It's almost, most of the scores are quite close to each other. It's very few cases where someone is, predominant sensing, especially with the sensing style. We'll be looking at it soon. It's quite rare. And you will be able to actually see those. When I start giving you the description, you probably might get a few personalities in your mind saying, hey, this person might be the one, including politicians, sportsmen, could be anyone, right? So I hope I answered the question. We have all the 4 styles. It's just that some of us may have one very high, the tendency and the inclination towards 1 or 2 of them. Okay. Any other questions, Sangeetha?
Yeah, one more just came in. Can being too much of a feeler hurt your career?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Can being too much of a feeler hurt your career?
You can. It's about the way. So when we look at feeler, right, or any personality styles, it talks about how you perceive your world. So whether it's your personal life, whether it's your career, whether it's your family, your team, could be anything. It's your perception of the world. How do you see the world? So yeah, possible. Okay. Can we proceed? I think is there any other question?
No more questions.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the questions, guys. Keep them coming whenever you have anything that you would like to clarify. So let's look at the careers for a feeler. Now, I would like to put it across. It does not, when I put the names here, they do not mean that you will just do this or you will be successful only if you do these. But then it's a natural inclination, right? So what are those? Some of them are, human resources, human services, public relations, a chef, teaching, anything that has human or social interaction, you will find them likely to be there, right? So, anything with service related, and I'm not saying this only in terms of volunteering, it's also, finding a job in a not-for-profit, or, maybe, in human resources, or could be even in fashion, but then, they are more likely to come up with, something that's that has a story. You would find that some of these fashionistas who the what do you call the parades that happen, they kind of they have a story to it. There is a backstory. They kind of relate to it. So they are the ones who are likely to be those high feelers. There could be others. You could be an entrepreneur and still be successful and still be a high feeler. So there is no such thing that you wouldn't be successful in anything else. It's just that your natural inclination is towards these that I've mentioned here and some more. Because of lack of time, I've kind of condensed it to the key aspects. Now let's look at the intuitive style, right? Moving on from feeler, this is the opposite. So you see the light bulb there. What goes off? Idea, and that's what they are. So intuitive style people are the idea people. They are all about the big picture. They're about futuristic conversations. So they are the right opposite of a feeler style, right? So feeler style is all about the past, about the memories, about values, value to the experiences. Intuitive style is all about the future, about the ideas, innovation, creation, creativity, and changes. In fact, I would like to bring this on about intuitive, style where for them change is constant. You give them a mundane job, they are not going to be happy. They may still work for you. They may still do the job. They may still do a good job, but they may not be happy with it. On the other hand, feeler style is they do not like changes. They want things to go the way it has been all along because they want to maintain peace. Intuitive style, they tend to, look for changes. So in fact, I want to bring this as I have one of my, best friends back home. So she took the assessment many years ago. I had to coach her with something, and it was interesting to see that she was a high intuitive style person. So her furniture in the house, right? I mean, she needs change, and obviously you can't buy a new furniture every other month. So what I had observed was every 6 to 8 months, she would change the position of the furniture. So it would not be the same place. So let's say a huge couch was on towards one wall. The next time I visit her, or probably after a few months, it's on the other side, right? And it was so, the need for change was so high. She used to have 2 or 3 toothpastes in her washroom, and she would change. She would be like, hey, you know what? I'm bored of this. Maybe I'll use another one, right? And I've also had sometimes, and she has shared that she kind of mixes and matches the paste, and she wants to taste them. And some of you might be cringing right now, so probably that shows that you're not into this. Some of you may be like, hey, that's a good idea, right? Maybe I should try that tomorrow morning or tonight. So yeah, you kind of look at that, it's a change that they need. So the kind of careers that they look for also is where there's a lot of intellectual stimulation. There's a change, in some form or the other. So they may probably want to move from, one project to the other pretty quick, or maybe they would like to interact with different sorts of people. So, something in marketing, something, or let's say even in an influencer, right? Your Instagram and, what's the other one? The TikTok ones, right? Wow, I feel so old. I don't remember that. But yeah, so your, they kind of want that change. So they're comfortable with changes. They are okay. In fact, they'll be happy, right? So what is it that they are? How do you identify if you or your team member or your family member is an intuitive style? So the word choices, as I was sharing earlier, it's going to be futuristic. So they're going to be like, hey, you know what? I think we need to look at this in a different way. What are the other ideas that you can bring in? You know what? In the next 5 to 10 weeks, we are looking at this projection. So there's a lot of words. The keywords are future, change. What is a twist, right? Let's bring in a twist to this. They're looking at innovation, creativity. So you give them a problem, they come up with a lot of ideas. They are minds of ideas. So maybe some of you relate to this, right? There's a lot of sparks going off in your brain. So that's the style, right? So there is a lot of futuristic words. Verbal communication, again, they're very intellectually stimulated. There's this proverb that says, jack of all, master of none. But then I wouldn't say that master of none. The intuitive styles are jack of all, master of a few, right? So they are informed about various aspects. They could be, they could jump from talking to you about politics, to games, to sports, to, career, to personal life, to something in the future, right? So that is where you'll see that they're jumping from topic to topic. So now let us say as an interviewer, you're there and you're talking to this candidate, and the candidate moves from one topic to the other. There's a very high likelihood that we think that, hey, maybe, this person doesn't know the answer. Maybe they're just bluffing, right? But then what you could do there is ask them to give details. So if you see that they're diverging and getting into different topics, it's, you can always ask them to come back and give a little more detail, right? I see that we are getting a few questions. Let me just quickly cover these two more and we will answer your questions. Written communication, again, they are not very formal, but then you'll see that, they would probably come out with ideas. So their email is going to be filled with, what are the possible things that you could be doing. And, it's going to be very short and, very light in the way that it's worded. By the way, I also wanted to tell you that intuitive style people have a great sense of humor. They are the laughing riots. So you will see that, even in the most serious situations, they are the ones who can crack a joke and make the entire group laugh, or probably they'll be laughing, right? But they're very good because, there's so much of ideas. So they're very good with wordplay also. So just to quickly cover that. Yeah, and with team meetings, they are also quite talkative because it's about ideas. It's about sharing ideas. They tend to talk about ideas and future. So they may be talking. They may not talk about what happened in the during the last weekend. They are probably looking at what is going to happen next. So they are likely to and they love using being in a brainstorming session, to also having group discussions, and they'll throw in a question and they'll be like, hey guys, I'm looking for an idea, right? And they are open to those ideas. They there's so much of sparks going on, so they like that. That's their motive. That is what stimulates them, right? So again, with an intuitive style, we need to sometimes bring them back into focus because they can get lost in a dream world. So they are the dreamers, of the world. So if you look at any of those personalities that you can probably think of, or maybe someone in your, known group, who's a dreamer, they're likely to be a high intuitive style. So I think we have a few questions, Sangeetha. So let's.
We actually had a comment, 2 comments.
Oh.
This was from Rosalia. She was saying, that's what I used to have on LinkedIn. Jack of all trades, master of some.
There you go. So we kind of know now, right?
Yeah,
So
she's a serious intuitive. Yeah.
It is, yeah. So hey, there you go. You're able to identify your style there. So if there's no other question, we can move on.
Yeah, there's no other comment. But what I was thinking about, when the person before asked, can being too much of a feeler hurt or damage your career? I think what I'm seeing is, based on your personality, it just might be that there's certain careers that are better for you than others, in which you will excel based on which one of these you have more of.
So yes, so to kind of bring back the top question, so when we look at the styles, right, when we look at the personality styles, why are we learning this today, or why are we getting introduced to this? It is for you to start using your strengths, right? So what is a strength as a feeler? You connect to people very easily. You're empathetic, you're sensitive. You can be result oriented, right? Because there's something else that's also keeping you. Remember that you do not have just one style and the rest of them are zero. Nobody has that. Nobody has 100% feeler or 100% intuitive style. But what we need to look at is, how do you use those strengths, right? So you can, but let's say that you are in a very high pressure job where there's absolutely no support, because a feeler style requires a lot of support. They need that connection. So if they are, let's say, an independent contributor, or there's no much support from the team, they may not be really happy about it, right? So, or if there's a lot of changes that's happening, constant changes that's happening within the team, within the management, they may not really enjoy it. And that is where, they may probably, the performance might take a beating because they're not happy about it. Not that you do not have the potential, you are not happy with the, the kind of environment. Did I answer your question, Nikita?
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so let's look at the third style, which oh, sorry, I forgot about the career, right? So quickly, a quick glance about what other places. It's all the creative spaces, your fashion, cosmetics, social media, marketing, anything that needs ideas, innovation, including scientists, because you need to innovate, right? So you need someone to come up with an idea to start innovating. So that's where you will find, high intuitive, people. And yeah, so moving on, I think, do we have any questions so far? I don't think so.
No, no questions.
Okay. All right, let's look at the thinker style. So I want to clarify here that the reason Carl Jung, he used this word, right? These concepts are all taken from his, research. Thinker does not necessarily mean that the others do not think. I think, it was just the lack at that time, probably because of lack of words. He used the word thinker for this particular style, but all the styles, of course, think. But then, the feeler style thinks using emotions. The intuitive style thinks using creativity and ideas. And, here it's more about, analysis. I'm just giving you there. But I would like to get to know more about, what do you think a person who's analytical, or, what do you understand from the image there? So let me throw that question to you all.
Someone just said correct. Likes to plan, detail-oriented, analytical.
Yes.
Organized.
Organized, yes.
Cautious.
So, sorry, cautious?
Cautious, strategic,
oh, yes.
Systematic, focused.
So these are all the thinkers who are answering there, because it's so natural, right? I'm so sorry, the intuitive guys, I did not ask that. I forgot, but then, yes, it's so natural for us. You do not need to, study psychology for that. You already know what it is. But then the rest of us may probably, we are like, okay, what is it? What's there? So you covered most of it, right? These are the ones who are detail oriented, who are very systematic, the filing people, right? They have everything loaded in files. It may be the hard copies, or it could be, on your computer. And, it's all about being prudent. They want to be perfect. They may not be perfect, but then they think that there's a high importance, high need to be perfect. So they kind of, they analyze and overanalyze and analyze even more, to the extent of, there's a psychological term for it, analysis versus paralysis, right? They kind of freeze. I do not know. There's no clarity of what I need to do. So let me look for alternatives. I need some more details. Can I get proof of this? Is there some more research that I can do? So that is where, there's so much of analysis that happens that the decision making is slow. However, they tend to make the most realistic decisions because they're so well informed in detail. So there's always a proof. These are the guys who will say, hey, you know what? Look at the proof, right? I have it right here. Look at this. This is the one what you sent me. This is the email that you sent me, right? So they are the ones who would do that because they collect everything, right? There's that need to have everything for proof or verification, and it's they love to argue because they are so well informed. It's very difficult to convince a thinker style. So let's say that your boss is a high thinker style. Oh, good luck, trying to convince them, right? But then if you have the details, and let's say that you're all prepared, you take the details, you go there and you present it, and you're by confidence saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to probably get this. Guess what's going to happen? They would likely to ask you some more details. So, there's that need, that motive is about being perfect, being, careful in the decisions. That way, thinker style are not high risk takers. They're very low in their risk taking ability, right? Because they want to be correct. So, by the way, they also do not like to be criticized. You give them a critical feedback, they are not going to be happy about it, right? They may not voice it out, they may not tell it to you, but then they're going to be like, at the back. If they're, someone who is frank, they might. But if there's someone who does not really, speak out, they may be like, oh God, I don't like it. And, I feel embarrassed. I don't know what they're thinking about me. Because again, it all comes from the need to be perfect. And they tend to work in an organized and systematic manner. So we kind of covered that, right? I think there was a question or a comment.
There were more responses coming in. Someone said,
oh, okay.
A thinker creates spreadsheets and lists. And say that because it's me, is what the person says. And then somebody else says, I'm a detail-oriented person, but I'm not a good planner. And then someone else says they aim.
They aim. So yeah, as I said, right, there might be something else. So for the one who is detail-oriented, but not necessarily a good planner, there probably is, an intuitive or a sensing style coming in, which is the next one that we are going to cover. So there is normally, what I've observed in the last 10 years of me doing this is, there's a lot of people with a combination, which, at least two of them are closer to each other. And, I also have one of my other friends who is a very high feeler style, right? I have someone who's a very high intuitive style, right? So, but then there's also other aspects that keeps, going in. Okay. So let's quickly look at the words that they're going to use, right? They are going to get into, something they're going to talk about process. What is the process? So can you explain it to me step by step? Start from the beginning. I want to know from day one, or I want to know what did you do, right? And the first step that you took, and in solving a problem, or in your day, or could be anything. They could also talk about a lot of details and processes, and they wanted to be in a much, so they are likely to ask you more questions because they want to know details. So what happens is someone who is the opposite style, for example, sensing is an opposite style for a thinker. They're going to be like, why are you asking me so many questions? I don't have the time, right? Intuitive people, they do not dwell into, they are dreamers. They are only idea people. For them, details are a pain, right? They're like, don't ask me too many details. You know what? I'm going to give you an overview of it and we are done. But then that's a pain for a thinker because they want so much detail. So they're going to ask you about, process. What is happening? What are the alternatives we have? Okay, so we have a situation here. What do you think are the alternatives? Can we come up with some? And they look for details and research and proof. So they they prefer tried and tested methods. So you come up with an idea, an intuitive style, they're going to bombard you with questions saying, is this tested? Is there a research? What is the customer feedback, right? Do you think we should do a research before we put this product into the market? So these are the ones, right, who ask you those, questions, the word cues. Oh, oops, sorry about the misplacement of, the words there. So with the line, so it's verbal communication. They are formal. They are the ones who will give you a form, handshake, and that's it. Then there's no much emotion to it at that point of time, unless it's backed with a high feeler style. They're very formal by nature, and they will stick to the agenda. So we are here today to talk about this, and we're going to be doing only that, right? It's not going to be anything else. They do not like, the conversation going into a different dimension. So they're very formal. They kind of, they're very punctual, by the way. So if you are the feeler or the intuitive style, you're in your dream world, and the thinker is there waiting for the meeting, and probably on the Zoom, and they're like, okay, where's the person? You're wasting my time. I gotta go. I gotta. You're no discipline, man. You have no discipline at all. So they're the ones, right? They get very irritated by delays. With written communication, again, very formal. They are going to talk to you about, give you a background. So they like to inform you. They will give you a background about the situation, and then they're likely to also give you alternative solutions, not ideas, but solutions. And then they probably say, hey, you know what, among these solutions, choose whichever is the best. We can discuss about it, right? Let's talk about it in detail. So that's the kind of style you will see. And with team meetings, what do you think? They're going to be there on time. I already said that. They're going to start off with an agenda, and they're going to stick to the agenda. So let us say we have the intuitive style who gets into the dreamland and who wants to talk about, some idea pops up and they want to tell it out. The thinker style is not happy. They're like, can we park that idea aside? Can we park that aside for maybe the next meeting, or maybe at the end? Can we just finish off with the agenda for the day? So that is what you look at, right? They're very straightforward, very honest and frank. So when you ask them for the feedback or ask them for an opinion, they're going to be honest to you. They're going to be honest to your face. So, a person from an opposite style may not like it. They may be like, oh my God, how could you be so critical of me? And then the thinker style is like, hey, you asked for it. I gave it to you. There's nothing, no, it's not personal, right? So that's how it's going to be. Any questions in terms of thinker style?
Yes.
Any more details? Sorry?
There's a question here. It's not entirely clear to me, but I'll try to put it together.
Okay.
The person says that I ask so many questions in team projects that I can sometimes be critical, and I want people to provide details, but they feel hurt. How can I explain that I need it and it's not to bother them? It's just how I work.
Exactly, right? So this question seems to be from a person who's a very high thinker style. So this is where, we kind of flex our communication. So have you all seen bamboo, the bamboo plants? Maybe you may not have seen it in real life, maybe, in the zoo, or could be, if you have ever made a trip to China, right? You might have seen it, or maybe on TV, or, in some of the videos. So what is special about the bamboo tree is it grows really tall, right? But then even with the biggest of the storms, the roots do not come out, right? So what happens is that the foundation is strong, but then they just sway from, side to side, depending on whichever way they need to go, so that they're resisting, the break. And when we take that example into our communication, you may be a very high thinker. What all that you need to now do is understand, look at what are the styles that your team members are, without labeling or judging them, because that's not the point here. But then you can start communicating with them in that manner. So let us say with the high feeler style, let's say that you are one of your team members a high feeler style, make conscious efforts connect with them on a personal level. I know it is not going to be easy because that's not your style, but then make that conscious effort to talk to them about, maybe about their family, maybe about what did they do during the weekend, how did they spend, if there was a long weekend, or how they are doing, right? And then get into talking about, the project. It's going to be tough, but then I think, that's where growth is, that's where maturity is. When you want to work together and work towards the same goal, whether it's a family or whether it's your organization, we're all working towards our goal, right? As a family, you have a goal, and at work, you have your, an organizational or a team goal. With an intuitive person, right? You can talk to them, give them opportunity to talk, let them talk. I know it's going to be irritating for you because they're going to be bombarding you with ideas. Let them talk. And after, once they are kind of done, you can then pull them back into, giving them a deadline, saying that, hey, you know what? I understand that, you find that, I come across as a rude person, but, this has nothing to do with being rude or being personal. I just want the tasks to be completed on time. I do not like delays. And being on time is going to benefit you also, because you're not going to be bombarded with my emails. You're not going to have a pileup of jobs that needs to be completed, right? So it's not a one-time easy thing. And I agree with that. It's not going to happen on day one. It's about making those conscious efforts each and every day. Take that single step, that small step, to be a little more conscious, to flex your style. So think about a bamboo. Each time you see that you're rigid, think about how a bamboo is. The foundation is rigid, right? Your nature style of your personality is rigid. However, you can always flex your communication. So let's say you're you're looking at a job seeker. In fact, let me share this. So I recently joined the Career Foundation. Okay, it's been like 2.5 or 3 months now. When I was going through the interview rounds, I had 3 tough rounds, and all of them were last minute, right? I mean, I have no complaints against that. It's, it is what it is. Sometimes, especially with the pandemic, it's really difficult to plan out everything. And, so they wanted me to be there on the, for the interview. What I did was, even if it was a short period of time, I went to the person's LinkedIn profile. Okay. I went through their experience. What have they done? I kind of got an idea because of the words, the cues that I saw, right? There was someone who had spoken about targets, who had written about, that they have achieved so much. So I knew what is this style. It's likely to be a sensing style, which we will talk about very soon, right? And when I went for my interview, I flexed my communication to that person's style. I got the job. And this was I had my interview with the top management. It was, it was really tough. But then I knew that, I need to flex my communication. Sensing is not my natural ability. Let me tell you, I that's there, but then it's not like the highest, right? So, I made those conscious efforts to flex the way I spoke. So I spoke to them about how I achieved, right? What are the things that I achieved in the last so many years in my career? What are the things that I have, I like to do? What are the targets that I have achieved? What is the kind of feedback that I have gotten? So that is where, it kind of sparked the conversation, and it ended in a positive note. And I'm so glad that I did that research, right? So if you would like to know more, I would love to share my contact at the end. Feel free to email me, and we can definitely, take it forward, and, I can help you out in understanding yourselves better. But yeah, so for now, the person, the high thinker style, please, just make those conscious efforts, right? Just take those simple, small steps to, flex your communication with the feeler, allow them to talk about their past week or what did they do, and then give them that deadline, saying that, hey, I know it's tough for you, but then can you please give it to me? And something that I learned many years ago from my mentor is, as leaders, it's not just about telling them, right? It's much more effective of a communication if you ask them. So instead of, you setting a deadline saying, hey, can you do this by the end of Friday? can, it's better, I mean, maybe try asking them, when do you think you will be able to finish this? Let them give you the timeline. And then they are responsible to give you, whatever that they need to do, right? You are not responsible anymore. They are responsible, right? So that is when you get to question them saying, hey, I thought you were the one, who asked me this, right? You were the one who gave me the deadline. I did not give you. You said that you will be able to do this, right? So that's another way, right? So we tend to tell a lot more than question. No, let's start trying questioning, right? Let them take the responsibility. So what do you think you should do, right? When someone comes to you with a situation, instead of advising them immediately, although we may want to, there may be a good intention, let's just take a step back, ask them the question, what do you think could be done? What are your ideas with an intuitive person? With a thinker style, what do you think? What are the alternatives? Do you have some solution, right? With a feeler style, what do you think? What do you feel we should be doing? Using those words, right? Feel, think, what, so that's where we kind of get into, the whole process of communication. I would love to help you and others. If you reach out to me, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you out, and we can talk about this. I can even help you with an assessment, and give you a full understanding of what you are and what you could be doing. Is there some other question, Nikita?
Well, the person who asked that question, they just followed up to explain that, for example, in their work culture, they don't have meeting agendas, and they ask for agendas, and the people get offended. And then
so we have a live example of someone, where probably the organization is not a thinker style organization. Right. So now we see that there is someone who's a high thinker style, or who's possibly a high thinker style. I got to be careful with my words because you've not taken the assessments, the actual assessments here. If you're working in a culture which is direct opposite to yours, I think, we need to talk about this, in private. We can, again, I would love to coach you and help you out, and, we can see what can be done. And, also because keeping the time in mind, I would like to proceed. And we can always catch up on the side. So, I hope you're okay with that.
And then there was one more question that you might cover later on. They're asking if thinkers are extroverts.
So extrovert and introverts are completely, all these four styles have an extroversion and an introversion. That depends on the, nurture aspect, right? What has happened where you're asked to shut up constantly, right? Where you're asked not to think, not to talk, not to, put your foot down, not to, so then you tend to become more of an introvert. But an extrovert is where, you probably were given that opportunity, or maybe you took that opportunity to, go ahead and take control of your life. So I'm not getting into introversion and extroversion because all these four styles have those concepts, and that's a complete, it's going to be a full day topic then. But yeah, I mean, I think I answered your question there. So let me proceed. Okay, so quickly moving on to the careers. It's, I'm sure most of the thinker styles already know they are likely to naturally be inclined into accounting, banking, finance related jobs, quality testing. They are the ones who do the critical problem solving, quality assurance. They kind of tend towards it naturally. Also research, right? An intuitive style comes out with ideas. The thinker style starts researching for more details, and that's where you see the difference. So they can both be scientists as a natural inclination, but then they have their own ways of doing stuff, doing things. Something related to processing, anything that is low risk, right? They will. Something that is mundane, repetitive, they kind of like it because they don't like changes. That's where I think the other person who asked the question, right? There's no agenda, there is no set, there's a lot of changes likely happening in the organization, which is stressing this person out. And we can see what can be done about it. All right, moving on. So we still have like 20 minutes. We should be done by then. All right, so the final sensor style. Let me throw this question back to you. sensor or sensing style, what do you think they are? Looking at the image, what do you think they are? Can we have some answers, please?
One just came in here. Somebody said dominant.
Wow, okay. All right.
Nothing else. Oh, visionary.
Visionary.
Decisive. Leading. Tactile. Adventurous. Nothing else has come. Oh, hands-on people. Hands-on people. Hands-on people. Experiences. Risk taker. Predictive. Huggers.
Huggers?
Yeah, huggers.
Oh no, they're not huggers. Yeah, I mean, if they might, again, it's so the word sensor or the sensing, right? So let's consider an example of an elevator door, right? You're inside the elevator, the door is almost shutting down. You see someone walking towards the elevator and you want to open the door. What do? You cut off the sensor and there's an immediate response to it. That is what is, the sensor style. So most of you, whatever you said was right. So by the way, predictable, it's the thinker style who was predictable. Sensor style are not, because they are very fast, very dominant, exactly what, the first one that you said, and very realistic people, right? For them, it's all about right now. They do not dwell into details. They do not care about how and what you do, but as long as the results are there, they're happy, right? So you might have your team member or your boss, or maybe even, someone in your family who says, hey, you know what? I don't care how you do it. I need to get this done. I don't know. I know you want to go, ask someone's help, go ahead. You want to do something else, go ahead. I need the targets, right? I need to see the results by the end of the day. So they are dominant. Yes, naturally they tend to be dominant and resilient people, right? So what is resilience? It's about, being strong in spite of going through a lot of challenges. So they're naturally very resilient. So they do not like to lose. It hurts their ego. For them, it's very important that they be the winner, right? But then life, sometimes we do lose. They kind of, brush it off and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. The next time I'm going to do it and show it to you. I will be back, right? They are that kind of people. They want to come back. They want to achieve. They want to be those people in the limelight. They love that attention from people, right? So they will do everything possible to create create that attention, and very competitive by nature. They don't, as I said, they don't like to lose. With work, they do prefer to be an independent contributor, right? For them, working in teams, it's like, oh my God, I don't want to be convincing. I don't want to waste time talking to, convincing people, and I want to get things done. I don't want the ideas. I don't want the details. Just let me get the things, get things done. So that's where the natural inclination is. So let's look at what are the possible word choices. It's going to be, I want to do it right now. So they do not hesitate to give a deadline. And a high sensor is likely to push you over the edge to get the results done, right? So they will come across as very dominant. A thinker style, is, what do you call it? They are pushy in a different way. They do not come across as aggressively as a high sensor style. However, let's say that there is this person who is a high sensor, high thinker, combination. They're going to be deadly because you have, details, and you have someone who needs the results right now. Also, when you go to them with questions, they want you to know what's the answer. They don't want to dwell into giving you answers. They'll be the ones who say, you know what, I don't have time to answer your questions. Keep the phone, right? They may disconnect, or they may just say, you know what, let's just talk later, or come back to me only if you have an answer. Otherwise, don't even disturb me. So you will see that dominant style of words. They are all about right here. Whatever the information that I have, let me use it. Let me let me take the decision. Very quick in decision making and very high risk taking, by the way. So they wouldn't hesitate to take a risk. Let's say that there's someone who's they're interested to invest in a business. They will take that risk and invest the money, right? Invest their time. So yeah, they're very resilient that way. With verbal communication, they're very short, very direct. They find, talking about emotions, talking about details or ideas are a waste of time, right? Unless it's backed, by something else, which is, closer to the style, they're very likely. So a very high dominant sensor style. I mean, from what I have read so far, all the research papers show that there are very few people, hardly less than, 3% of very high sensor style people in the entire world. I think, nature wanted to give us, Mother Nature wanted to give us some break and say, hey, you know what, let's not have too many, dominant ones or majorly dominant ones. So yeah, you would find them very direct, aggressive, right? They are, even their body language, they're the ones who will put their hands on the hips when they talk to you. And they're the ones who will, who are likely to point the fingers when talking. So it's very easy to kind of identify a high sensor there. With written communication, again, very short, direct. So let us say, that there's your, team member or your family, one of your family members is a high feeler. They are texting you. They're saying, there's a long message that they say, and the sensor style is going to be like, okay. And you're like, what just happened? That's all. I pour out my emotions and you're saying an okay, right? So they kind of, that's where, right? They do not want to get into, too many long messages. They're like, okay, give me the idea, give me the summary, not the idea. Give me the summary, I'm done. That's where you will see short emails, one word, messages from these style of people. With team meetings, I kind of already covered when I was talking about word choices. They are very direct. They want to get talking about the results. They want to talk about, okay, let me know, can I know what I'm supposed to do? And they sometimes may step out of the Zoom meeting saying, you know what, let me start getting onto it. Let me start doing it. Highly impatient people. So, so now you see there are 4 different styles, very different from each other. And when you're put together in that family, in that team, that is where the conflict arises. How do I manage this person? They are such a pain to me. I don't know what to do, right? This is where we look at, understanding ourselves, the self-awareness, right? And understanding how do we communicate? If you are applying, if you're a job seeker, how do you communicate to someone who is a sensing style? So, talk to them about, targets, achievements. They don't want to know anything else. They don't want to know how many years you worked in a company. They want to know, what did you do in the company, right? They are the ones who will tap on the table, right? There's a lot of motion that happens. There's movement that happens. So you will see that, they will be tapping on the table when they talk to you, or let's say they have a pen in their hand and there's a movement there, right? There's an urgency constantly in them, right? So with respect to the, careers, most likely they are, naturally they tend to become entrepreneurs. Having said this, I do not mean to say that the rest of us cannot become an entrepreneur or cannot be successful. We will be. It's just that for a high sensor style, it's natural, right? It's innate in them. It's through their DNA. So they kind of, will probably invest in. So let's say an intuitive style comes up with an idea. They'll say, hey, you know what? Let me put the money. Okay, let's get things rolling. Let's not waste time, right? Someone who's into any competitive sports, sales, they love targets, right? In fact, one of my colleagues back home, this was many years ago, so I learned about this experience through them. When Toyota was still new in India, I come from the country, and when they were still brand new, they in fact have a manufacturing unit in my city. I'm from a city called Bangalore. It's in the southern part of India. Toyota was facing such a massive challenge and competition in the Indian market. They could not sell cars. There was absolutely no sales happening, apparently. And when there was a training program conducted with psychometrics, this was done by my colleagues, so I give the credit to them. They found out that the sales teams. So manufacturing is it's a very high manufacturing unit. Everything is perfect there. It's just the sales, the retail side. They found that there were no sensors there. There was nobody pushing for targets. There was nobody asking, where is the numbers, what's happening? Because there were a lot of thinker style and feeler style, right? So what they did was they had an intervention, right, with the top management, and there was a huge change that happened within the team, within the retail section, where the leaders, right, who the managers probably, or even some of the sales guys, they hired sensors. There was a lot of interviews that happened. There was also psychometric testing given by my colleagues, and they hired sensors in those retail units. And they saw that within the next 8 months, there was sales happening. There was a 60% increase in sales, which is still a good thing, because from a 0 or maybe a 5% sale to 60% within the 8 months, it's a good thing, right? So that's where you look at, they love sales. They love to be in those challenging situations. Army, which is a high risk, especially if, you are in a war, it's a high risk zone. So they absolutely love that and enjoy that. And of course, leadership roles, right? They are, even if, let's say it's your child, you might see that, one of your children could possibly be showing natural tendencies to be a leader. So, and, you now know that, okay, as they develop, they're going to be natural leaders. So any questions before we before we proceed? We're almost done with.
No questions.
Okay. I don't know if it's a little too much for you guys, but thank you for being patient and listening. It's a lot. It's interesting. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it can be a little too heavy, right? Especially
it's
after
really
a long
helpful.
day. Thank you. All right, so let's play a game. So Nikita, before we put the poll, I'm going to show them the images. So what I want you to do now is I'm going to display some images of personalities that we all probably know, without using any other judgment. You may like them, not like them. That's a different question. But from your observation, what personality style do you think these people fall into, right? So I'm going to put them, you can choose multiple choices for each of them. I have requested, that option to be given because, there's always some or the other style that kind of mixes up. So are we ready?
Yes.
Let's start with, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, oops, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So do we all know who's the first one? Yes. Do we know who's the second? Yes, of course. Do we know who's the third person? If anyone does not recognize anybody here, please let me know. Feel free to share it. It's okay. Okay, we are getting answers here already. Awesome. Beautiful. All right. Are we done? Are we still, okay, we are still getting.
Yeah, we're still getting answers. 41% have voted so far.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Sorry, I didn't observe that. I was so busy looking at the other percentages here. So. %58 have voted. %64%. I think it's all the thinkers who are, analyzing what should we do? What's the percentage that we need to give? I'm joking, guys. So, take your time. I think we have like, oh, so this is not a countdown. I thought it's a countdown there. Okay.
No, we can end the poll whenever you're ready.
So yeah, I think it's 70%. I would love to see 100%, guys, if possible, please. So that I get to know, what's your thought. And don't worry, we don't know what you're pressing, so it's not going to be out that such and such a person for selected.
Anonymous.
Yeah, it's all anonymous, so you don't have to be worried about am I being wrong, or what if I make a mistake. 80%. Okay, so I think we can end the session, no, not the session, sorry, end the polling. There you go. So we have, for Michelle Obama, it is 75% of them have said a high feeler. Pretty much, right, with what we have observed. Again, let's not get into labeling them, because we still do not know. From what we have seen in the media is what we are looking, we are kind of deciding right now. So she does come across as a high feeler. There's a lot of philanthropic work, and even the way she exudes, she's very warm and welcoming. And she also comes across as a little bit of a thinker. So there is that analytical aspect to her that I have observed. Moving on to Keanu Reeves, it is high intuitive. Possible. I also kind of see him as a high, either a feeler or a thinker also. So when you look at his personal life, right, he does not like to be in the limelight. Normally thinker styles do not like to be, it's probably his work, so he does the job, but then when he comes back, he leads a very simple lifestyle. So possible that he has a thinker or a feeler backing also. And we have Stephen Hawking, who is a high thinker, and he also is intuitive, because look at his ideas. If you listen to his speeches, and if you read about him, there's so much about future. He talks about sometime in the future there's going to be time travel, and this is how the world is going to end. So there's a lot of ideas that comes up. So he is a thinker and intuitive combination for sure. We can see that it's pretty predominant. And Elon Musk is a high sensor. Yes, he is pretty quick in in coming out with his designs and products, but there's also a high intuitive, because look at the ideas that he comes out with. Who would think of sending a car to the space, right? I mean, it's not for everyone, right? So it's kind of it's there, right? It's somewhere. It's intuitive and sensor, kind of a combination. Amazing, thank you all. So I'm going to stop sharing the results. So it's just to kind of get an idea of how, no matter who we are, what profession we are from, no matter which country we are from, right? These things are pretty basic and foundation of what makes our personalities. And that's one of the common factors. Now, is there anything such as a good personality style? Maybe some of you are thinking, oh, I wish I was not this. Maybe I wish I was the other one. Or, you know what, I'm the best, right? Is there anything as a good or a bad personality style? No, right? There is no one best style. What makes it important is how you use that, your style, how you use your strengths to walk into your success, and how you use your weaknesses to work, to collaborate with people, and move yourself and also the team into the path of success, right? So there's every aspect has their own positives and negatives, and that is why we say do not judge, do not label anybody, because the science is not about judging and labeling people. It's more about understanding ourselves and others. So to give you an example, if let's say someone is struggling to plan, I think one of our participants said that they struggle to plan, right? What you could probably do is take the help, collaborate with someone who is naturally good in planning. Let them help you out with creating calendars, reminders, just for a bit. And you see that over time there is the influence. That's the nurture aspect, in fact, right? So there's an influence. You might learn, you may not be perfect at it, or you may be, we do not know, but then there is a learning that happens and influence that happens. If you're not good in handling emotions, if someone comes to you crying, you don't know how to handle it, take someone, take a high feeler's help. Ask them, how do I respond if I see someone who is getting emotional, and I don't what do I do, right? So there's always that help and collaboration that's going to help you move forward, right? So you do not have to struggle with your weaknesses alone. There's always options and pathways for you to collaborate with people. Now that we know this, I know knowledge, what do we do? How do we rise above the rest? How do we be the best version of ourselves, right? So let's say that you're a job seeker. Integrate your personality style into creating that amazing cover letter and resume. Integrate your personality style in talking about yourself, your strengths in the interview, right? So let's say that you do not have, you have not taken the assessments, you do not know how to do it, how to identify. Look at your natural tendencies. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? When there's no other pressure or stress on you, what do you like to do? Are you a person who dwells in the past? Are you more emotional, or are you someone who likes to do things, experiment? Who's a sensing style, by the way, right? So that also kind of gives you an idea. But there are also a lot of places where you can take the tests. You can come to me, or there are a lot of other tests available on the internet. So feel free to choose. And let's say now you are the growth seekers. You are looking for that promotion. You're looking for that career jump. You're looking for a career change, a transition. What do? Use those strengths to perform your best and ace that annual review, right? So and what do you do with your weaknesses? Collaborate. So always remember that you do not have to struggle alone, with the weak areas. You can always bring in people. This is something that I observe. Many people hesitate to ask for help. It is okay if we are not, the master of all. It is okay if we do not know everything. What is important is that you learn to use your strengths, be good at it, learn to, progress in it, and work around your weaknesses. These weaknesses are not permanent. It will, they can change over time. You kind of can make your weakness into a strength, but you do not have to struggle. That's what I'm trying to say here. And as leaders, entrepreneurs, leaders of the family, use the science to understand your team members, your family members, and strategize your communication. Parents with multiple children, you obviously know that there are so many of them who are different. The siblings are different from each other. So how do you strategize your communication according to their style? Same thing as leaders in the organization, as an entrepreneur, or if you work for a company, go ahead, identify what are the motives of this particular person, and how do I communicate? How do I flex? Think about the bamboo, right? Your roots are strong, but then you sway along with each personality style, and with conscious practice, you will be able to see progress. Having said that, I now open the forum to any questions that might be there. Oops, it's already 9:04. I'm sorry about that. But if there's anything that you would like to ask me, we can have a quick discussion.
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay, I saw some orange thing go on. I don't know if...
Oh, here we go. What personality test would you recommend?
So you can go with the MBTI, which is the basic, right? So here MBTI talks about the introversion and extroversion also. So that comes to 16 personality styles, right? So it's much more complex.
Okay. Then there are a couple of people saying, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Interesting session. And one more question. If we are in a feeler career with a thinking profile, is it compatible, or do we have to change our career?
So it all depends on, are you happy with what you're doing? Are you able to perform? Do you see value in what you do, right? So as I said, you can be any of those styles as long as you're able to use your strengths. You will be successful, right? There's no chance to fail unless you're you're kind of moving around your weaknesses because you're then struggling, right? And I don't mean to say that you'll be a failure. Don't get me wrong. It's just that, it's going to be a longer path, right? So it's like, instead of taking the highway, the freeway, and I'm not mentioning 401 here, but then let's say, 404 or I think the 427. So let's say that, you want to reach a spot using the freeway is easier, right? You reach there faster when compared to taking the side roads or the main roads, right? So that is how, this knowledge is utilizing your strengths is like going on the highway. So you reach those goals faster when compared to, struggling with your weaknesses. So don't worry about it. As long as you're happy and with the job, and you see that there is a value that you are also getting in addition to giving value to the company, go ahead. It's completely okay. And, you're likely to, stick to that.
Okay. And
okay. So let me not take too much time. So, sorry?
I'll give you one last question that came in. Can you give us the links for the best test?
So normally I do not go in for, I have not taken links for a free Google test, because there are so many of them which may not be, may not have a proper backing or a research, right? So let me see if I can, Nikita, do we email them any link, like the recording or something later on in the next week or two? Do you think we do that?
Yes, I think that if you send the link to the CATS team, they will probably.
Okay, so I can, what I'll do is let me research. As of now, I do not have it. I'm sorry about that, but I can, look into a couple of options for you. And, I can get back to you on that. And or if you want to reach out to me, feel free to do that. This is my, my socials. I'm pretty new to Instagram, so I'm kind of, just experimenting and seeing how things work out there. But yeah, you could always, and my website is under construction, so I need to get back on it. Yeah, but yes, I will respond to you, on either of these. And this is this quote that you see is something that that kind of occurred to me a few years ago. The greatest service that you can do to yourself is to unlock your inner potential, work with your strengths, ask for help wherever you need weaknesses, wherever you need help with your weaknesses. Sorry about that. Awesome. Sorry.
I was just going to thank you so much, Sangeetha, for an amazing presentation. That was a beautiful quote to end on. Everyone in the chat is saying very interesting presentation. Loved it. Thank you for the interesting presentation. So your presentation was very well received. And on behalf of the CATS team, I'd like to thank you so much for being with us this evening. And for our attendees, please be sure to watch your emails, because there will be a survey that will be sent to you so that you can evaluate this session. And guys, this is just day one. We have 2 more full days of PowerSkills 2021 for you. And it's our sincere hope that you will make courageous moves in your career based on all that you are learning here today and over the next 2 days. Rosalia is going to put the link for the upcoming sessions in the chat. And finally, if you love what you're experiencing, if you want to see more, then please feel free to make a donation to the School of Continuing Studies so that they can continue to put on amazing professional development events like this. So thank you again, Sangeetha. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you all.
And we hope you have a fantastic evening and see you at more PowerSkills sessions.
Thank you, Nikita. I said at the beginning. Stay safe. Oh, I'm sorry, Sangeetha, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, stay safe, and, thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you. And thank you, Nikita. Nikita's volunteering. I told you you'd be in good hands, and you certainly were. So thank you very much, Nikita. We couldn't do this conference without our dear volunteers. Definitely. And Nikita stepped up to facilitate some sessions and is obviously doing a great job. Thank you, Sangeetha, really wonderful. And we'll see you all tomorrow. We hope to see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.